Welcome back to College 101 here on the College Guide. Today I'm going to be talking about the hardest semester I ever went through and how I was able to get through it, study tips, organization tips, and how to help yourself relax during these tough times. So to let you know when this was in spring, or we call it winter semester of 2019, so January to April. And during this semester, I was in 15 credits, so not a huge load, but not a light load. And this was what was called the junior core for chemical engineering majors. You took your 3 most important chemical engineering courses all together. I was also in a technical writing course, which translates to group work with a bunch of strangers taught by a teacher who knows nothing about, because it's an English professor teaching a bunch of STEM kids and telling them to write essays about their major, and he just doesn't know. Nothing against him, he was a great guy, but a little bitterness there. My least favorite class that semester. And then I was also in a 500 level elective in biomedical engineering, on top of my 3 other engineering courses in thermodynamics, chemical reaction engineering, and heat and mass transfer. Now, no matter what major you might be in, you're probably going to have a semester or two that's really heavy. For me, part of what was so heavy was that these classes all tended to meet on the same day. As a chemical engineering student, most of our classes were Monday, Wednesday, Friday for an hour each. And so this semester, I had a 10 o'clock, an 11 o'clock, a 1 o'clock, and a 2 o'clock class every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. To give you an idea of what else was going on in my life that semester, it was my first full season with the BYU Club Ultimate Frisbee team. Again, just the B team, but it was still 2 to 3 practices a week, and about a tournament that took up an entire weekend every month, one of which I flew down to Arizona for, one of which we drove to Boise for, one we drove to Southern Utah, and luckily the one that was close to finals was right in the heart of Salt Lake, so pretty close to us. But still kept me pretty busy. Also this semester I was engaged, and on top of that, we got married like 3 days after the end of finals. So we were trying to plan a wedding while we were in our hard semesters, right after finals. So it was a pretty busy semester. I want to go through 3 things that really helped me. The first one is about organization, the second one is about how to plan ahead, and the third one is how to build in breaks and help yourself relax. So the first thing I want to talk about is how I got organized. And for me, I like visual things, and also it helped me check things off. So what I did was I took the syllabi for all of my classes, and I looked at their schedules and tried to align them. If you're looking for some help on how to read a college syllabus and get the most out of it, you can check out this video over here, and I'll go through step by step everything you need to get out of a college syllabus. Using those skills, I put together a schedule that included readings and homework assignments so that I knew when they were due every day. Most of these classes had a homework assignment due every lecture, so that meant that for these engineering courses, I'd have 4 homeworks to get done from 3 o'clock on Monday until, let's say, 10 o'clock on Wednesday, or 2 o'clock on Wednesday till Friday, or over the weekend. So it was pretty busy, and keeping everything straight for what the subjects were, which homework assignment you were on, was pretty busy. So I built this schedule in Excel, and I taped it to my notebook. So I don't know if you can see very well here, but I've got the date over here, day of the week, as well as the numerical date, and I've got a column for reading, as well as for homework for every single class for my 4 engineering courses. A technical writing course was sort of project-based, totally different sort of thing. So that's where I started. And actually, that's not all. If you turn to the inside of the cover, there's the last third of the semester, so there's even more assignments to see. The second thing I did with organizations, we're still in that first bullet point about organization, is I figured out when all the TA office hours were. I knew these were going to be hard classes, we were going to need help from the teaching assistants, and if you're not familiar with a TA, I have a video about that as well. You can check it here to learn about why a TA will be a huge lifesaver for your college career, especially in those tough classes. So I found out when all the TA's office hours were and the professor's office hours, and figured out how we could build a study schedule around that. So again, I put that in my notebook. You can see here, I even color-coded it by class. So I think green was thermo, and red was reaction engineering, and blue was heat and mass transfer or whatever. But I did that so I could build out and see when do we have free time to study and when are the TAs available. And then lastly, armed with all this information, we were able to say, here's our plan. And what we tended to do, my personal study style, was that we would all try and get to campus at 8 most every morning, and we would study from 8 until 10, our 10 o'clock class, finish up any last minute homework we might have. If we were all done, maybe we wouldn't show up that early. But then between classes, we had a gap from 12 until 1, and we would try and bust out as much homework as we could. We would get started on the assignments, we would pick which one seemed like we wanted to get started on first, and oftentimes we honestly would even start on the homework in our 11 o'clock class, so a little bit of a head start. It's more like we had 2 hours there instead of 1, but it was tight, but we took no time to relax. We often ate lunch in our classes because we were so busy and it was so hectic. Then we had class from 1 to 3, and so then after that, we stayed until about 6 o'clock every evening because we wanted to get it done, but then 6 o'clock was a nice cutoff where we could go home and unwind a little bit. As for Tuesdays, we had our technical writing courses in the morning. We were in 2 different sections, so basically from 9 until noon, people were in various classes, and then all afternoon we would spend together studying, finishing homework so that we could be done and work together and make sure we were all going to be successful. So that's how to get organized. Organize your homeworks, organize your teaching assistants, and organize your study group so that the schedule for all of those will work together and work well. The second big tip is to plan ahead, stay ahead, and set short-term goals. So the first thing is look at your schedule on your syllabi and identify what weeks or what days will be the hardest. So if you look at this at a week level, you might say, especially if you're in a major where your courses are front-loaded, maybe you have like a Monday, Wednesday course and a Tuesday, Thursday course, and so you know, okay, things are at the beginning of the week, so my Fridays are going to be wide open, but I really need to work super hard to get my homework done between Tuesday and Thursday or something. You can also look at their semester as a whole and say, these are the weeks when I have the most homework assignments, these are the weeks that I have quizzes, these are the weeks I have tests, this is when projects are due, essays are due, rough drafts, outlines, whatever it might be, and you can sort of look at those goals so you know when they're coming. Instead of showing up to class on Monday one day and saying your paper's due on Friday, you've already been working on it for 3 weeks. Now, that can be a hard thing, and not everybody works that way, but for me, being organized and giving yourself plenty of time was very helpful. Along with that, I would say you need to set short-term goals and recurring goals. So for courses like mine, they were very homework-based. Every one of my engineering courses had a homework due basically every lecture, so it was sort of like, okay, our goal needs to be that we need to finish at least 1 homework assignment on the day of the class, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we need to finish the other 2 or 3 on Tuesday, Thursday, and of course, the further ahead you get, the better it will be. So those are what I mean by recurring goals. I sort of set up a weekly schedule where you can set a meter stick and see, how am I doing against a regular week? You know, is this homework super hard? Are we spending too much time on it? Do we need to make sure we go get help from the TAs? Or are we flying through it ahead of schedule? We're doing great. Other kinds of short-term goals might be for chunking out these big projects. For example, if you want to read, or need to read rather, a 400-page book for your class, and you've got 6 or 8 weeks, we'll say 8 weeks until your essay is due, then it's much better to read 50 pages a week and then take notes and write your paper that last week than it is for you to read a 400-page book in 1 week and then write your essay the night before. So get organized, know your schedule, and then set goals within that schedule. The third thing is to build in breaks and make sure that you have some things that are non-negotiable. What I mean by that is, for me, evenings and weekends were relatively free. Because of how we worked 8 to 6 every day on campus with each other, working hard, that meant we mostly didn't have to do a lot of work at home at night by ourselves or on the weekends. That did mean that Fridays were often a big crunch. We might stay a little later because we didn't want to have to work on Saturday, so we had to try and get all 3 homework assignments done on a Friday rather than a Friday and another day. But for me, that was the schedule I wanted to follow. I wanted to say my weekends need to be mostly for me, and of course for my fiance at the time, for going to practice. We had Saturday practices, personal time, right? Another important thing was we had a friend in the study group who he was really good at organizing events for us to get together and have fun and do things. These were some of my closest friends, but in the end, we spent most of our time together doing homework, right? Talking about chemical engineering. And, you know, we would talk about certain things and get to know each other, but we didn't often just get together and have fun. And so I had one guy in the study group who was really great at saying, hey, let's meet up at my apartment complex. I'll rent out the event space, or I'll reserve the event space, or hey, let's go do an escape room, or whatever it might be what you like to do. But we had a guy who was really good at that, and I was grateful for that. The other thing was, for me, frisbee, the club ultimate frisbee team, that was a non-negotiable for me. I went to 2 practices at least every single week. I tried to go to 3 if I could. And that was because if I didn't, I knew I was going to get cranky. I wasn't going to be able to work out. You know, It's good to go and work physically every once in a while. That's why it's important to walk, important to exercise, important to eat right, and things like that. And so it was important for me to do that. But that was also a great motivator because in the end, school was my goal. And so even though I said I have to go to frisbee, in my heart, I knew, well, I have to go to frisbee, which means I have to get my homework done, which really motivated me to work hard, especially practices were on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which were the days that homework was due right after. So if I didn't have my homework done by 6 o'clock on Tuesday or Thursday night, then I was in trouble and I wasn't going to be able to go to frisbee, which meant I was going to get that release, that extracurricular activity done, that energy out. So it was a great motivator to move me forward, keep me focused, without just being grades for grades' sake. I hope these tips helped you through your hardest semester. Let me know what your hardest semester is going to look like, when you think it will be, and what you're going to do to make sure that you're successful in it. Thanks for watching this episode of College 101 here on the College Guide. We'll see you next time.